Ricky, you're too kind. Thank you. My pleasure. Happy to do well, what do you do for a living, sir? Nothing right now, but happy to be with you.
Well, after
Absolutely.
50 years, I think you're entitled to take a break. Jigs, I want to get this out of the way early. I mean, you could look behind me in the room and see who my alliance was to my entire life. I'm 55 years old. I can remember my first hockey game at 4 years old. I'm a diehard Ranger fan, and for many years, you had the privilege of breaking my heart. So
I was told early on that without the Rangers, there would never be an Islanders team. I don't care who you cheer for, as long as you enjoy the game, love the game. That's the key.
that's absolutely correct. And as I got older in life, and I realized that these guys don't pay my mortgage, and it was just a game, and it was for fun, and it's a joy to watch, and always wanting to get involved in broadcasting. It was always a pleasure to listen to your voice. And one thing I forgot about till today, and I looked it up. It was you've actually done baseball games for the New York Mets and the Mets farm system. What was that like doing baseball?
I had done some baseball before going to LA. Amateur, of course, senior baseball in Ontario. Um, it was fun. It was an experience. I didn't do as much play by play as I would have liked. I was actually third man in the booth, and I think basically just to establish a quote unquote sports channel presence. Um, it They came about, I believe, because of Bill. Um, no, I better not go down that road. But it came about 60 games on Sports Channel in '83. It was fun, very enjoyable. Got to every National League park except San Francisco. Didn't get to Candlestick that year.
Well, it probably saved you a bunch of wind through your hair and some hot dog wrappers hitting you in the head during broadcast.
And
So you
they,
got to work at that time with a very young Howie Rose, correct?
no, actually, it was Lauren Brown and Ralph Kiner.
Oh, Ralph was still there. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Lindsey
And
Nelson had left already.
Lindsay had left. Um, Bob Murphy was doing radio. I'm trying to recall the young man's name that was working with Murph at that time. I went over to radio for a couple of games when Murph went to the Hall of Fame induction weekend, and Ralph as well. Um, Lauren Brown, I think, was only there 1 or 2 seasons. Lauren was from Chicago, and he was not really. He didn't, for some reason, didn't endear himself to the Mets television audience.
Yeah. Well, they had a legendary Broof with Kiner and those guys, and then
Yeah.
it was the predecessor going into Zabriskie and what's his name? Oh my God, how can I forget his name? He passed away, the catcher from the Cardinals. It'll pop my head in a minute. But that was my jam. The '80s Mets were my team. The '86 Mets were my all time favorite team as a Met fan. As we don't have really much to celebrate, so being a kid and getting to see that World Series, Tim McCarver,
Yeah,
with
I was
McCarver and
just going to
Steve
say your
Zabriskie.
thing. Yeah, yeah. What a great guy, Timmy. I have all the respect in the world for Timmy, not only as an athlete but as an individual. I'm just going to tell a quick story. Tim worked the '88 Winter Olympics in Calgary, and I'm thinking of Bill Webb here. Bill and Timmy were very close. Bill was a great director for Mets, and then went over to Yes, I believe, and eventually handled all the baseball for Fox. But we go to Calgary for the Winter Olympics, and Bill's wife is coming out. Bill just happened to have a very, very tiny room, and she's coming to visit. Tim McCarther said, "You're taking my room, much bigger room," and Timmy moved into Bill's. So just that personality, great guy to travel with, and fun all around.
That's awesome to hear because it was so great listening to him. I got to meet him a few times, and he was always a gentleman. So that's always good to hear. One more odd question before we get to hockey. So in the 1980s, you worked. I'm sorry, in the 70s, you worked for WTBS.
Yes.
Did you, as a sportscaster? So did you
Uh,
ever get to watch some Georgia Championship Wrestling? Were you a fan at all?
I was a bit of a fan, but no, never got to watch it. In fact, working with Skip Carey, we were doing a radio call-in talk show at the time, and somebody would call about wrestling, and Skip said, "Well, I don't know who won, but I saw the rehearsals." Skip had a way about him, of course, of upsetting just about everybody. If we were lagging in calls, he'd say, "Well, there'll be a meeting of the Tide, the Alabama fan club at such and such a phone booth at the corner of such and such a street." He just, in the phones, of course, the lines would light up immediately. But no, at TBS, it was it was a little different animal. Uh, I was doing Atlanta Flames hockey, and I don't recall how many games on TBS at the time. But as part of the deal, either Skip or myself, one night a week, would go in when the movie ended. The movie always started at 7, but you never knew when it was going to end. There was never any specific time. They would call and say, "Be here ready for 9:20." Okay, or 9:30, whatever. It was 5 minutes, 2-minute segments with a commercial in between. You did a quick headline news thing, commercial. You came back out of that with sports scores and a quick update on the weather, and you were gone. There was no cameraman. Camera was focused on you. The chair was had slats on either side of the wheels. And in order to get out of it, again, my friend Mr. Carey, the late Skippy, one night they're counting down 5, 4, 3. Skip picks up the chair, moves it half camera. So you've got a portion of his face. And they're screaming, of course, from the control room. He did the first 2-minute segment, came back, got the chair in place. Commercial's about to end. Skip moves it over to this side. Second segment, you've got the other. Oh yeah, that was just about the end of our being called in to do the 5-minute segments once a week.
Were they starting at the odd times then with the 6:05 and the 7:05 back in the day? I know their sports programs always started at 6:05 instead of 6 o'clock.
Yeah, 6:05, 6:07, somewhere in that area. Yeah, exactly, Rick. Yeah.
That was always odd. So you go on to hockey, and you're the voice of the '67 expansion LA Kings. I read today how you got you went with your nickname Jigs, which was a great story. I mean, if you want to tell it, go right ahead. But it's always 50 something years later, and I'm sure everybody just knows you as Jigs McDonald. So how did that come
Pretty
about?
much. That was well, it originated with the guys I grew up with, probably fifth, sixth grade. Uh, Definite resemblance. My late father, resemblance to Jigs in the comic strip, Bringing Up Father, Jigs and Maggie. Um, Maggie used to beat Jigs with a rolling pin, or at least chase him around with it, but I never saw that at home. But that resemblance, um, the guys just hung it on me. Now, as I've said many, many times, never used it on the air, had no intention of ever being Jigs McDonald on the air until hired by Jack Kent Cooke. And throughout the process, every bit of correspondence had that last line, "And do you have a nickname?" Never responded to it. Never. It wasn't until the day before our first preseason broadcast of the training camp in '67 from Guelph that he came to my room at the hotel and said, "We have to have a nickname. John Kenneth McDonald is as fine a name as I've ever heard. However, it has no recall value." And I'm thinking, what is this man talking about? And I guess he could read my mind, because he said, "You say Ken McDonald, it goes in this year, right out this year. You don't have to say, 'Excuse me, what did you say your name was?' It has no recall." Oh, I see. So, well, Scotty, oh, no, no, that's way too plain. Everybody's been Scotty McDonald at one time or another. Tick, 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 this one, that one. Finally, he just pounded his fist on the desk in my room and said, "Damn it. You've had a nickname. I've had a nickname. Everybody's had a nickname. Now, what was yours?" "Jigs." "Speak up. I can't hear you." "Jigs. Jigs McDonald. Marvelous. We'll use it." And I thought, oh no, what have I done? What have I created here? Or what has he created? What has he demanded? Um, so yeah, Jigs came about in September of 1967, as far as on-air use.
So actually, 58 years ago, last month.
Yeah, yeah.
That's insane. You're still known as Jigs.
Yeah, to most people I am. Yeah.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. Jigs, your partner back then was a very young broadcaster also who went on to have incredible fame like yourself, Al Michaels. What was
We
it like?
never we never got on the air together.
Really?
We never did a game together. No, Al was hired to be my color man or analyst, if you will. Um, he wasn't hired by Jack Kent Cook, as it turned out. Somebody in the basketball department or the production or forum offices hired Al. Said, okay, he wants to be in the hockey business and he'll work with Ken. Um, Mr. Cook had Ed Pitkin on staff. Ed had been with Hockey Night in Canada, CJBC radio in Toronto for years and years, did intermissions, well versed in hockey, wrote a lot of items for the Toronto Maple Leafs magazine. And Mr. Cook decided that it would be Ed who would join me in the booth. So he put Al with Chick Hearn. Chick did not want anybody with him. Chick was a one-man show, and Al only lasted, I think, probably 2.5 months, if that, and was replaced by Rod Hundley. Mr. Cook did not like Al for whatever reason, and Chick didn't either. There was just a conflict there. Uh, the story the story that Al told me, he was on the road. It was at the airport in L.A. He had the per diems. He had the tickets for the Lakers basketball club. Everything, of course, was commercial travel at that time. And he got a call. He was paged. Nobody had a cell phone in 67. He's paged to take a call. It was Jack Kent Cook. Come to the office in Beverly Hills. Well, Mr. Cook, I'm just do as I say. Give all that those envelopes and the tickets to so and so. As Al is leaving the airport, Rod Hundley is walking into the airport, and Rod is now the new co-broadcaster with Chick and traveling secretary. Tick tick tick. And Al was gone. I think Al went to Hawaii and established his career in baseball in Hawaii before coming back to the mainland and going from there.
I guess he ended up okay.
I think so. I don't think there'll be a fundraiser.
That's
No,
funny.
he did.
Early on with the Kings, what was it like in Los Angeles with the crowds? Did they accept hockey right away? Was it a struggle getting the game, over with that kind of atmosphere out there? And what was it like with the players? Did they want to be there? Was it a place they liked to be at, or was it kind of like, did you sense like, oh God, we're on a team in the middle of LA?
The players enjoyed it. The players enjoyed the sunshine. Some had come from obviously the original six teams where you're under the microscope, and now there was no microscope in LA. The fan base was kind of mixed. Um, the Western Hockey League team that they'd had, the LA Blades, had been owned by Dan Reeves, and Dan Reeves owned the Rams, and he was a pretty popular guy in LA. Jack Kent Cook got the NHL franchise, and immediately I'll build my own arena. I'll do this, I'll do that. And yeah, there was a carryover. Hockey fans, true loyal Blades fans or hockey fans came and supported the team. But there was a little area there of trying to sell the sport at now NHL level ticket prices, which I think topped out at $9. The average price or the lowest price was probably seven. Um, the main draws would be Chicago, Boston, and the Rangers. Those three teams outdrew Toronto and Montreal, surprisingly, and that is what prompted the Jack Kent Cook line about 500,000 Canadians living in Los Angeles, and the reason they were there because they didn't like hockey. The
I never
have
heard
you
that.
read
That's
that?
really funny.
Had
That's
you
really
never heard
funny.
that line?
I had never heard that. That's
Oh
really
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
That's fantastic. What'd you think of those uniforms?
Little gaudy, but it was the regal, the royal purple and gold colors. Uh, he took it back to, well, even with the crown, he did a lot of study. I mean, there was a contest to name the team, but I think he already had it named in his head and and went with his first choice. Um, yeah, especially the gold uniform with the gold pants, the gold socks. Uh, Everybody talked about Charlie Finley and what he had done with the Seals up north, or north of LA anyway. But no, they were pretty gaudy.
At least they didn't have white skates.
No, never got to that.
That's funny. Who was the first breakout star in L.A.? Who was the first guy that you would say was
E-
that?
Eddie Joyelle. Joyelle had a scoring ability, a knack for the net, as they say. Yeah, we had Terry Sawchuk, who was probably the only major name from the expansion draft. But Eddie, Eddie could score. Cowboy Flett. Real Lemieux was a fan favorite too. But Joyelle would be the star amongst that team.
Who did the fans embrace most when it came to the physicality? Did they have a heavyweight on that team? Was there a physical force with the Kings to start, or did that
Uh,
come later?
At the very beginning, Dave Amadio was probably the hardest hitting defenseman. Um, Larry Johnson could hit, um, but we weren't a big physical team. I would say up front, maybe as well as the major guy up front would be Ted Irvin.
Teddy
Uh,
Irvin,
yeah,
ex-Ranger.
yeah, yeah. Teddy would take the man. And he could handle himself. And plus, he could score. But Joyal just had that look about him that kind of endeared himself to the fans right away.
Teddy Irvin's son went on to be a very successful professional wrestler. Chris Jericho, still involved in wrestling, and always used to play in the Ranger alumni games and stuff. So that's pretty funny with Teddy out there. I seem to remember, and I'm just going back on reading and Stan Fischler's books and a lot of history and stuff like that. But if it wasn't for the LA Kings, the Montreal Canadiens don't have the dynasty that they had in the '70s because they just seemed to rob the LA Kings on trades. It seemed like yearly.
Yeah, yeah. And you know who you can put the blame on that for, or two? The late George Allen. George Allen was coaching the Rams. George Allen and Jack Kent Cooke were tight. I mean, had lunch together in the Forum Club. I would say probably 3 to 4 out of the 5 days of the working week. Um, and it was George Allen's theory that you traded an unknown quantity for a proven player. That doesn't work in hockey.
No,
Does not work in hockey. It works
especially with an expansion program, you got to build through the draft. I mean, it's not the 2020 something Vegas Knights where they were given the red carpet. This was an era where you needed to establish. And I
yeah.
went back and looked at some of those trades. And wasn't LaFleur actually drafted out of a Los Angeles Kings?
I no, I think Gee was attributed, I think, to an Oakland or
Okay.
Seals deal,
Okay.
but there were so many others. I mean, Sam Pollock unloaded guys with a year or 2 years of fairly good level of hockey, pro hockey or NHL level of hockey ability left, and got draft picks from Jack Kent Cooke. I mean, you just go on and on.
They were just guaranteed to be top three picks too between them and the Seals, and he was robbing both teams, so he had the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and you know who tried to get in on the deal was Boston. The Bruins made a couple of deals with Jack Kent Cooke that involved pretty high draft picks as well. I don't think he ever did one with the Rangers, but Jack Kent Cooke was on the phone with Emil Francis a lot. I know Emil and Mr. Cooke were kind of buddy when it came to deals. A couple of times he would run the possibility of a deal by the Cat, and the
Really?
Cat would say, "Oh, don't do that, Jack. That's not going to help your team." And then eventually that player would be on the Rangers. So
Oh, that
it
was
was
good.
good.
I mean, at least Emil was honest. He took the player that wouldn't help the Rangers because we haven't won a cup in 54 years. So
Uh,
yeah, that's pretty funny. I just Bill Goldsworthy. Were you around when the Gold was there?
yes, I was.
So
Yep.
the story with the Eagles and New Kid in Town and the song and attributed to Goldsworthy. How long was it before the players that were going to the Kings fell into the nightlife scene? Did you see it develop?
No, not really. No. Well, yeah. Okay. Let me back up. Early on, uh, I think there were three guys who had an apartment together in Hollywood. Uh, Brian Smith. Um, I think Brian Campbell may have been in that group, and I'm not sure if Joyelle or not, but and I'm searching for a name in my head here. The Beverly Hillbillies, uh, the young lady actress name is not coming to me, Rick. I
Very
apologize for
beautiful
that.
blonde. I know that.
Yes, oh yeah, she was at our very first L.A. Kings Christmas party.
Okay. So it didn't
Hmm.
take too long.
No, no, it didn't.
I recently watched a video about Goldsworthy and found that out about the Eagles naming that song um, after him and then the party life. So that's pretty incredible because that's become a spot where even modern day players like to go to rub elbows and socialize, and a lot of ex players getting parts, small parts in movies and stuff like that. Marty McSorley ended up in movies for a little while. So
Mhm.
it was always funny to me how going to LA, you would think it wasn't a hockey culture, but it didn't take long for it to develop.
No, it didn't. And then, of course, when the Ducks came along, the Mighty Ducks and the Disney people, the guy that followed me by a year, Bob Miller, gets all kinds of play-by-play jobs in the movies because of his
Yeah.
location there in L.A. Good for Bob. Congrats. I mean, it took off. It took a while. A lot of people say nothing really happened with hockey in the Valley or in the basin in Los Angeles until Wayne showed up. But really, I think a lot of
Marcel Dion was a superstar. So was Charlie Simmer.
oh
Those
yes,
guys don't get enough credit for what they did. One of the fans texted into me. Her name was Donna Douglas.
yes, there you go.
Okay.
Yes, somewhere I have a picture of Donna Douglas with the group. The party actually was in the afternoon in the parking lot at the Forum, and they brought in tons and tons of snow from out in the hills surrounding LA or the mountains out there. Hills to us who have seen the Rockies, but there was snow, and yes, Donna Douglas, very
Okay.
good.
Well, thank you for sending that in, guys. So we were talking Marcel Dion, Charlie Simmer, those type of guys. Marcel
Rogie,
Dion was, well, came in the league with Detroit, but instantaneously a superstar. Would you consider him the first actual megastar to play for the Kings?
yes, you'd have to. Um, Rogie Vachon, Rogie maybe ahead of Marcel, but you don't pay a whole lot of money to go see a goaltender play. But Rogie, Rogie had that credibility. But yeah,
Another player
Marcel.
from Montreal, correct?
Oh yeah, yeah, and they gave up a ton to get him, um, but he was the key. I mean, they were giving up goals. There were 8, 9, 7, 8, 9 goals against a lot of nights, and I think the first night that he played was against Toronto. Only gave up three, and the third one was a late goal. Lost 3-2. Um, but yeah, he his his goaltending ability and style, flamboyant French Canadian, made him a star in LA as well.
That's fantastic. So, Jigs, you stayed there 13 years, correct? And then you move on to the Atlanta Flames, correct?
No, I was only 5 years in LA.
Five. Okay.
Five, yeah.
And in between, you did baseball, and then what you worked with the
Uh,
Canadian broadcast.
well, no, actually, when I left LA, I went to Atlanta. I joined the Flames in 1980. I'm sorry, in 1972, 67 to 72 with the LA Kings, 72 to 80 with Atlanta, and I often say it took
That's
me
my
eight.
mistake. My notes say 80. It said left in 80. That's when you joined the Islanders. So that was my mistake. I
Yes,
apologize.
yes,
But
yeah.
you're in
Quick,
another city not known for hockey. I think Jigs McDonald's goes to all the original cities that were not made for hockey, and has the job of making them enjoy the game on television. What was Atlanta like?
Atlanta was great. Um, Atlanta, I think, given the givens, had they had the proper financial backing, would have been eventually would have been a very, very good market, and I still think it could be and will be. Um, Originally, going in there, we were told I think there was 41 or 42 of the top 50 companies in the nation with offices in Atlanta. Some of them were headquarters in Atlanta. So you had a populace of people from the north, from the east, who knew the game, knew what it was all about. Um, Part of our problem was marketing. The for whatever reason, and I'm going to tell a story here. Uh, when the team was just about on the rocks financially, the players each gave up 15 to 20% of their salary and turned that into tickets that were given away. And maybe that was one of the problems. Everything in Atlanta at that time was you paid for tickets. Oh no, you don't buy tickets; they give them away.
Right.
And that was the Braves primarily, not the Falcons, but the Braves. Um, there were people who called the office, had tickets for the game, and were asking, "How do we get to the Omni?" Well, all the major concerts, the basketball team played in the same building, the circus, the skating shows,
The wrestling.
how, yeah, and wrestling. How do I get to the Omni? Okay, we've got a problem. This is 5, 6 years into the existence of the hockey team, and obviously the building as well.
Who were some of the stars that were there at that time? I mean, I go back a little bit, and it was a little probably later than their first couple seasons. Willie Plett, of course, I love Willie. My dad is from Paraguay, South America, also, so Willie always meant something to my family. But who were some of the guys that stood out there? Lysiak, you had Phil Muir in net, correct?
Yeah,
Bouchard.
yeah. Bouchard, Mir in goal. You had Pat Quinn on defense. First captain was McCreary, Keith McCreary. Um, Tommy became the face of the franchise, of course. Jacques Richard was the first overall draft pick from the amateur draft or entry draft at that time, and Jacques didn't really blossom into the player that everybody had forecast him to be. Uh, then, of course, Tommy came along, Willie, um, Bobby McMillan, Eric Bale.
Ken
Um,
Houston.
Yeah, Kenny Houston. We Johnny Gould came along. We had a pretty good mixture
You had
of
Russell there
players.
also, correct, right?
Phil Russell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the deal with the Blackhawks. He came over in one of those L.A. Chicago trades. Just Kurt Bennett. It was a big, tall hockey team. I know often in the airport people would say, "What basketball team is this?" Oh, it's too many guys around here to be a
Well,
basketball team.
in my opinion, and one thing I follow a little weird hobby I have, I've got about 8,000 hours of nothing but hockey fights on video. I mean, I know it's not nothing to be proud of, but from 1970 to 24, I have every fight in existence that's ever been printed on DVD. Atlanta was one of the first teams besides the Bruins who were able to physically stand up to the Flyers.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
were not backing down from anyone, that team. There was no one on that team that backed down from the Flyers. The Flyers didn't go in there and run roughshod over Atlanta. It never happened.
Do you have and you probably do, the video Kenny Houston breaking Dave Schultz's, I think it was Schultz's nose,
Yes.
one punch, just
Yes.
boom, and down he went. Yeah. Uh, yeah, there was a tough team. You take Willie, you take Kurt, Kenny, it was a big, tough hockey team, and you're right, stood toe to toe with the Flyers.
I had Ben Wilson on for an interview, and Ben made me laugh because he credits Willie Plett, top three toughest guys he ever tangled with, and he
Mm.
said when he first looked at the roster, the first time they played, he looked at this guy on warmups, and he had crystal blue eyes and blonde hair, and he said he was born in South America, and he thought that he was going to be like a Swede, and he never expected him to be tough. And he cross-checked Willie, and Willie turned around and hammered him. And he said he was completely caught off guard. He had no idea where Paraguay was or what Willie was doing in the NHL. But Willie was a tough, tough guy, man. And he
Yeah.
still lives in Atlanta. I had an interview set up with him, and we both had. Unfortunately, his sister passed in the same day we rescheduled. My cousin was killed in an accident, so we haven't really been able to get together. But I'm really looking forward to sitting down with Willie. What shocked me with Atlanta was they had a great run with the crowds for a little while too when they were playing playoff hockey. But now you're saying a lot of those tickets were given away. But it just seemed like overnight the crowds disappeared.
Yeah.
Did you notice that, or is that something that was
Yeah.
just kind of?
I think one of the contributing factors, too many Friday night home games. State of Georgia is a
Yes.
football at high school. Friday night lights, Friday night. It was difficult. You couldn't draw. Uh, you could give away whatever on a Friday night, and people weren't going to come out because they were going to Johnny's football game, or they were going to the grandson's game, or nephew. You went. High school football was the key. So with the number of Friday night games that they had scheduled, it was just too difficult. Um, we often waited till, or felt that we were waiting until the beginning of the new year, when football was finished, pro football, of course, um, and we still couldn't draw. A couple of teams, Philadelphia, of course, being one, the Bruins being one, because there was always the possibility of a fight or a bench emptying brawl at that time.
Right.
That seemed to sell tickets. There's there's an old country song, "Hockey Here Tonight," um, and it deals with the fighting and just the sign what is hockey, but the fight broke out and it goes from there. Um,
Did
yeah,
you
they
think that hockey in the South was more attractive to the fans because of the violence of the game? Now, I was involved in professional wrestling for 35 years. I owned my own company. I traveled, and people used to talk about wrestling in the South like it was a religion. And it was the
yeah.
physicality and the violence. And then you got college football down there, like you said, high school football, smash mouth fans. So do you think hockey, when it was the big Atlanta Flames, would be more? I thought it would have just stayed longer than what it did, with the fact that the physicality was there and the crowds were into that in that region.
Yeah, and NASCAR plays a part in it too.
Yes, sir.
They, the crashes, the skill involved with the crashes be another thing. The bumping and yeah, Atlanta's problem was being underfinanced. They had a situation. I don't think I'm telling any stories out of school, but they the major nut, I think at that time, was $6 million for a franchise, and they'd put up 1 million, financed five back through the league. Okay, the league was at prime plus, I believe, 3 or 4 points, prime plus and floating. So when the prime was up there in the teens, you were looking at having to probably sell out the building twice a night just to meet the nut.
Right.
Uh, and it none of the group of 8 owners or 9 owners, whatever it was, had the deepest pockets in the world. A couple of them I recall being quoted as saying they were in this to make money, not to spend money. The cash call went out right away. Uh, Money to move players, to bring players in that first year, and a couple of these guys were saying, "What? Wait a minute! I put up my $1,000 or my 10,000, whatever it was, um, and I have to pay more." Yeah, underfinanced would be the best way to describe the problems in Atlanta.
I think the Atlanta Flames original jersey is top five of all time.
Yeah,
That red jersey with that A in the front with the flame is just iconic to me.
yeah. There was an ad agency in Atlanta who did a great job, not only with the Flames, but with the Omni logo, with the Hawks as well, and some of the advertising for season tickets and games tonight that came out of that house. But yeah, the Flames logo. Fortunately, Calgary kept it to a degree.
Yeah.
It just, nice.
Do you do you think if times were different and there was the TV money that was floating around that there is today, that Atlanta would have stayed in the league and never had to move to Calgary?
Yes, yeah, I
Do
do.
you think the fan base was there to support it? It's just
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Properly promoted. We tried a lot of things that worked in other markets for some reason didn't. The best thing in promoting a hockey team is winning. Had they had a winner, I mean, you look at the Braves before they became a competitor, uh, giving tickets away, but you just couldn't. You couldn't entice people to the ballpark until they became a winner or
Right.
a competitor, being there. Similar situation with the Florida Panthers. You look at the Panthers, even in more recent days, leading up to their Stanley Cup championships the last 2 years. But when I was with the franchise doing radio, a lot of the folks just came out to see Pavel #1, and what would the girlfriend be wearing tonight if she's at the game?
Right.
It once you get a competitive hockey team, And I guess it's the same with all the other sports. But if you're competitive with a chance to win, folks will be there.
Your eyes on hockey are so unique to me. You know, between expansion teams, startup teams, dynasties, and then like you just said, Florida going from what she's wearing in the crowd and you know the way they sold the game early on down there to a Stanley Cup champion. You've seen so many different levels of the NHL. It's such a unique view. When you get to Florida, we're going to go to the Islanders because you know that's going to be the longest conversation, and I don't want to keep you all
Okay.
night. But when you get to Florida, you're doing radio.
Yeah.
What did you prefer? Like, did you prefer doing television, or did you prefer radio, which is more of your chance to be creative on the call?
I enjoyed radio. I have to
A
admit,
lot of guys say that. A lot of guys
oh
say that.
yeah, you can play your own game. Uh, and I'm not saying that you don't describe it as it's happening, but you can be as creative. You can the one-liners or the you can try out whatever. Um, Going back to Jack Kent Cook, uh, his instructions or the questions that he asked me in our first ever meeting before I had the job. He said, "You you you say the puck's in the corner. As I recall, there are four corners. Which corner is puck's behind the net? Is it behind our net or their net? Um, the puck going up along the boards, right wing boards, left wing boards, and he had a couple of others. Does a player have first name? All you say is his last name. It's like wall to this guy, that guy, puck moves back and forth. Oh, and how old are they? How big are they? Wanted to get a lot of things in. So you can do that. You can do that with radio. You have a better chance to do that. Television, there's the game, there's the picture. You're just there, in my opinion, you're there to enhance what you're seeing. But radio, you can be as creative. I enjoyed radio. Yep, absolutely.
That's fantastic. I spoke to a lot of baseball announcers, and they say the same thing that you can paint the picture that a person could sit in the backyard in the sun, have the pool at his feet, and be able to see the entire game in his head. Where on television, it's already created for him, and you're just accenting what's going on. So yeah, that's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, radio baseball with Vin Scully, the years that I was in Los Angeles. Oh, just marvelous. Forget turning on TV. There wasn't that many TV games at the time. I think only road games, but home games. Vinny, pull up the chair, and he would entertain
Yeah,
2.5, 3 hours of
he's the
baseball.
Frank Sinatra of baseball.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Yes. Well done, Rick.
Yeah,
Yep.
he. I mean, come on. Anybody in the world who ever heard his voice just would stop and listen. You know, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
I was privileged. You know, I had so many great announcers. As a New York Ranger fan, Jim Gordon will always be my favorite. Marv Albert. Then you had you know Vince Scully, like you just said, and you had so many. Just the Bob Costas, Al Michaels, yourself, like 70s, 80s, and 90s were just blessed with the best voices in the sport. And there's a lot of good guys now, but when you get older, you don't really pay attention to them. But I could still go back and listen to your call and that Ken Morrow goal and still cry. Um, you
Can
know,
I
we're gonna
add,
get into that. We're gonna get into that in a minute. You know, but
can I add
yeah,
one more name to the New York list?
yeah.
Mel Allen.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah. Mel Allen this week in
Oh,
baseball too. That show is iconic. I still watch it on YouTube. There's still full episodes that you can go and watch.
really?
And oh, it was my Sunday afternoon was getting my family over for dinner. We'd all go out and play something depending on the sport that we'd play football, wiffle ball or hockey, street hockey. Mom would start to cook. We'd sit down and watch This Week in Baseball, and then the Yankee game would come on PIX, and it was just it's iconic. You know,
Yeah.
people don't forget that stuff. So, real quick before we get to the Islanders, I just have one more question. Sports Channel. You work for Sports Channel. You did a lot of games with John Davison and a bunch of different, you know, color guys. Sports Channel was 30 years ahead of their time
Yes. Yeah.
with the games of the week and covering so many different teams. Sports Channel, in my humble opinion, is responsible for keeping hockey alive in a lot of cities that were not blessed with hockey
Yeah.
quality
I,
teams.
I would agree. I've often said though that uh, what sports what Sports Channel America did was prove that hockey couldn't drive a network, and that network could not drive hockey. It made some inroads, as you say, 30 years ahead of its time. Um, but back then, not being able to clear all the markets either was a bit of a, well, it was a major problem. Let's not kid one another. Not being able to get into some of the major hockey markets and non-hockey markets. But overall, I think the production, what we did on the air with in the capable, more than capable hands of John Shannon producing, working with JD, with Billy Clement, with just some of the really, really good people in the business. We we
Those are
had,
two of the best color guys ever. John Davison and Bill Clement were amazing.
yep.
Both of them. Billy Clement, ex-Flyer, you know, what and then went on to do commercials. You know, people don't realize if you go back and look, he did a lot of commercials too that you go back and say, wow,
Oh, those
yeah,
mosquito commercials.
it's off. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
And he had his shirt off in a lot of them too, Billy
Oh
Clement.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Who are I mean, I know Eddie Westfall is going to come up in the conversation, but who are some of the guys that you worked with early on in their career that you said, wow, these guys have it. They're going to be really good.
A little later in his career, when I worked with Joe Micheletti, Olympics, had heard Joe. I knew of Joe's work, but when we worked together in Norway, the Winter Olympics there, wow, I great respect for Joe. His work ethic, going into it. Billy C, of course, Billy Clement. Uh, I early on, I seem to have a different guy every game in Atlanta. We, none of them there stood out. None with LA. Um, no, no, there isn't anybody really that comes to mind. Maybe I'm just not coming up with a name other than Joe Mick.
Joe Michelet. Well, that's a great answer. I mean, what Joe did for Sam Rosen this year by not announcing his retirement and doing he was so classy with that. That was a beautiful move for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He never tipped his hand. Joe and I had talked a couple of times. In fact, we had done an event together in March. Uh, we both went into the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame this past July together. You're right. He never tipped his hand that this was going to be it. Class personified.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so here we go, Jigs. We're at the 40-minute mark. How does the Islander job become available?
You know, that is what a great question. The Islander job became available.
Tim Ryan and George Michael were the originals.
Yeah, the Islander job becomes available. Number one, because uh, Steve Albert has to make a decision. Is it going to be hockey or is it going to be baseball? You can't do both. Steve decided he was going to do baseball. So New York Islanders TV, the not the Channel 9 stuff, that was Tim Ryan's property there. Um, that became available. I was approached during the Stanley Cup playoffs of '80. How long would it take to make a decision? And I said, well, Atlanta isn't leaving, number one. We're going to find a way to keep that franchise, and I'll be staying in Atlanta. And the guy said, well, it's done. They're going. Oh, so when the announcement was made, I got a call from Nassau Sports Productions, which did the Islanders at the time, and probably a week later, there was an offer on the table. Um, I had checked another franchise. I was offered a third man in the booth with another franchise. But the Islanders, having won the Stanley Cup, of course, was an ideal situation. And yeah, that's how it became available. Steve deciding that he was going to do baseball, and then Tim Ryan, his workload with CBS at the time was such that he was going to have to miss a handful of Islander games. So I would do those as well. We would simulcast tick, tick, tick. And I think by the end of that season, Tim had missed somewhere in the neighborhood of 14, 15 games.
He did a lot of boxing. He did a lot of other sports, college basketball. He was all over the place.
Yeah, his skiing contract, I think, is what really messed up his Islander gig. He was overseas a lot. Um, so at the end of that first season, Tim basically said, "Hey, it's yours. I can't do this anymore with my workload over here at the network." So um, Originally, I was just to do cable TV, fill in for Tim, and then they decided that I would do radio as well, and Bob Lawrence was let go, which bothered me no end. That was not part of the deal. So basically, I ended up replacing three guys, and I just said, "Whoa, you know, hmm." But
I think you did a pretty damn good job.
thank you. It
Could we paint a picture for the younger fans right now about what hockey was like in the biggest market other than Montreal? I remember games one that were tape delayed. So there would be a 7 o'clock Ranger game that wasn't played till 10 p.m. at night because either the Mets were on or there was a different event that would be on. Islander games and Ranger games at the same time. One of them would be played live, the other one would be tape delayed. Then there was blackout situations, which I never understood. Like there was games in Pittsburgh that just never got shown from the Rangers or the Islanders television. Tape delays, channel switching. It was like you had to find hockey at that time at some point, you know, and it was such a different world. And then obviously MSG Network comes about and Sports Channel takes over the Islanders and it goes to a different realm where Channel 9 gets phased out. But Channel 9 was the superstation in the country for NHL hockey. It just couldn't handle the workload, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, exactly right. Um, Anytime we had a game on Channel 9, you know, being the superstation that it was, that you were serving the country, not just the New York market. You could be seen countrywide, U.S. wide.
Yeah. What growing up in Jersey, Lodi, New Jersey, big shout out. Um, Getting cable in 1980, we were able to get the Rangers. I'm sorry, a little bit before that because we didn't have cable in my hometown, but my aunt and uncle had cable in 20 minutes away in Fort Lee, New Jersey. The Atlanta Flames, the New York Rangers, the New York Islanders, the Hartford Whalers, the Boston Bruins, and the Philadelphia Flyers, all on cable.
Oh boy.
So
Oh boy.
we were the original remote controls. We would get hit in the head with a slipper and told, get up and go change the channel real fast. And they had the old cable box with the zip. And you'd go from channel 9 to channel 17 for Atlanta right away. And then the Flyers were on channel 29 and Boston was on SBK 38. And you'd stand at the TV with a slide and just go back and forth. And my Uncle Ray, God rest his soul, he's the inspiration for me. I'll take a picture and show you. But I have two 70 inches side by side on the wall here. But he was the first person I ever saw who had cable in two rooms, and he extended the wire and pushed two TVs together, and we would always watch the Ranger and the Islander games at the same time. So it was just absolutely amazing, you know, the memories. Hockey in my family, I can't even tell you, like growing up in a baseball New York Yankee dominated world, we went the other way with hockey. And I'm so glad we did. It was just the greatest feeling in the world. And you come to the Islanders, and who was your first color guy with the Islanders? I don't think Ed was your first season, was he?
Yeah, he was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
Eddie Jockman did some games with the Islander broadcast. Was that with Tim Ryan?
I don't recall. I don't know.
Because I never
Um,
understood why Eddie went to the Islander side of broadcasting. And it was only a handful of games, I remember. I was a young kid. I was only 8 years old. But Eddie's my idol. And you know,
yeah. God
it was
bless.
hard listening to him. But I think he filled in for Steve Michaels a lot when Michaels was away doing stuff with the network also. So Eddie retired and he stepped right in with you.
Eddie had retired the year before. Eddie, I think, had one season under his belt before I came in. Um, yeah, 1 year, and then we were together 15 seasons.
Right.
Eddie likes to say we were together longer than some marriages last.
Well,
Um,
that's for sure.
but yeah, we were partners through some pretty good times, very good times, and some very lean times as well.
Yeah, afterwards it was. We'll just skip over Millbury.
Right.
The the rivalries, the intensity, going from Los Angeles, you know, you have some. You go
Yeah.
to Atlanta, it was like Flyers, Atlanta, okay. But when you go for the first time, Rangers, Islanders, and you walk in Madison Square Garden, or we come to the Nassau Coliseum, or the Flyers come to the Coliseum, what was that like?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Uh, on Long Island, the Coliseum pretty much split night after night, half Ranger fans, half Islander fans. I'm saying, well, this is a home game. Yeah, but they can't get tickets to go to the Rangers, and they've been Ranger fans all their lives. There's still pockets, I believe, in Long Island where Islander games are on a pay channel or pay tier on your cable, and the Rangers are free. So yeah, there was that aspect of it. Going to Madison Square Garden, the first time as an Islander broadcaster, and I told this story to somebody recently. Eddie said to me, "We better get upstairs." I looked at my watch, and it's pretty early. He said, "Yeah, well, they haven't opened the doors yet, but now's a good time to go." Uh, yeah. And that particular night, you went up the elevator and you walked around the back of the blue seats over to the broadcast booth, and there were I think three or maybe four guys sitting in the back row talking. Only people in the building, except Eddie and I. And I hear one guy say to the other, "Well, here's Eddie now. He'll probably know. Ask him." So the guy gets up, turns around, and I'm figuring there's a question coming. The guy comes up with a right, driving it right at Eddie's chin. Eddie, fortunately, was quick enough to fend it off. The other two or three guys scattered, and now this guy's gone as well. So every night after that, we went up with security. We went early, of course, earlier than that even. But yeah,
That's disgusting. I'm sorry. I'm
well,
embarrassed as a Ranger fan that happened. There's a line you don't cross, and that's one of them. I mean, listen, that's just. I'm sorry you went through that. As a Ranger fan, accept our apologies because
thank you.
leave it on the ice. Leave it on
Yeah,
the ice. Listen,
yeah.
cheer, root, hate, dislike. I'll tell you a funny story. Our local candy store in our hometown made a dummy, and it was a mannequin, and they put Billy Smith jersey on him. They put goalie pads. They had the exact replica of Billy's mask, and they threw it off the candy store roof. And somebody called the suicide in during the '79 playoffs. And the
Ooh,
cops responded, and thank God it was a mannequin. But it was the intensity. Nobody will ever understand the '70s and '80s hatred that these teams had for each other. And
yeah,
the arenas, like you went to the Coliseum as a Ranger fan, and it was like woo. And then you went to the Garden as an Islander fan, and like you just said, even as a broadcaster, you're taking your health into your hands.
yeah,
Now there's the corporate world has ruined of all sports. It's ruined hockey. They've priced the average fan out. I own a car service in Nashville, and I drive a lot of Canadians around. They come down to Nashville because they tell me the cost of the airfare, the cost of the hotel, and the cost of the ticket is less than one ticket to see the Leafs play in Toronto.
yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. As a joke last year, a friend of mine, obviously a joke after the fact, but said that he was contemplating selling a kidney in order to go see a particular game at well, the Air Canada Centre or
Right.
whatever it's called there in Toronto now. Yeah.
I turned in my season tickets at Madison Square Garden when my 4-year-old daughter, we work in sports memorabilia. I've had sports memorabilia business for 20 something years. And we did a signing with Brandon Dubinsky, his rookie season as a New York Ranger. And he just took to my daughters. At the time, they were like 3 and 7. And he just had a ball with them at the table, laughing, giggling. And he found out my daughter's birthday was coming up, and he gave us tickets to a game. And we were sitting downstairs in the old red seats. And here's my little 3-year-old wearing her little Ranger jersey, and she's yelling, "I love you, Brandon. I love you, Brandon." And the usher walked over and said, "I'm going to give you one warning. If she doesn't pipe down, you're going to have to leave."
What?
And I just stood there and I went, "Are you
What?
kidding me?" So he walks away, and my daughter looked at me, and I said, "Don't worry about it, honey. Just keep cheering." And Brandon scores a goal, and she's going crazy. She's like, "Brandon, I love you. That's my birthday present." She's 3 years old. Walks over, taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "I'm not warning you again. You're leaving." I called the next day and I gave my season tickets up, and I have not been to the new Garden. I haven't been there since the renovations. I have not stepped foot in there. I'm still a diehard Ranger fan, but the embarrassment of having a 3-year-old told to be quiet at a hockey game was too much for me, and that just changed. It changed the elegance of the game for me. It went from fandom to how much money can we make, and we don't care about your fandom. And that bothers me to this day. She's
Oh,
22 years old now.
that should never have happened, Rick. Your ushering staff has to know better than that. That's a crime.
Yeah, it was
I,
it
I,
was tough, and
oh,
and
absolutely.
and it's funny because like she never wanted to go to a game again.
Yeah.
She never wanted to go back. Dad, hey, come on, you want to go with Daddy? We got to take. No, I don't want to go there. And it's sad. But the stories you hear at like Montreal and Toronto and New York and the price. The other day I found a ticket from September 6th. My birthday September 16th, and I went to a September 16th, 1986 Devil Ranger game. And I was sitting downstairs in section 108 when my uncle took me for my birthday, and the ticket price was $7.50.
Yep.
Yeah,
All the good old days.
yeah.
And the,
And
and
obviously inflation happens, Jigs, but that same seat nowadays is 200 or 300.
oh,
Who can take their children? Who can
at
take their
least
children?
you can't. You
You
can't.
can't.
No.
All right.
And
Getting
we
back to the Islanders. I
let's
don't want
talk
to. I don't want to get you too long.
before we do that. Let's just touch on the fact that we lost a year of hockey, a lockout.
Yeah.
Why? To get the ticket prices down, to get salaries down, to get everything to the point where people, the average family, could go enjoy it. Did it work? No, it
Not with
didn't,
a
Gary.
$17 million contract signed yesterday.
Oh my lord. Oh,
Jigs,
we're
here's a question for you.
okay.
Ranger fan, diehard Ranger fan.
Yep.
Nobody in the world respected two players more than me. One, Guy Lafleur, second one, Mike Bossy. What would they be worth in today's NHL?
Oh, Guy and Mike side by side. If you're going to pay what Minnesota paid, it's got to be 25, $30 million a season.
25 minimum each, right?
Yep, at least minimum. I mean,
There was
Bossy's
never a classier player or a more elegant hockey player, in my opinion, than Mike Bossy. And it's so hard for me to say that. But that man was the single purest goal scorer I have ever seen. Do you agree with that?
totally. I've said so many times you could blindfold Michael Bossy, spin him around to the point that he was dizzy, put the puck on a stick, and it's in the net.
Yeah.
He just had that uncanny ability. Uh, he he knew where the net was, no matter where he was on the ice. The 50 and 50 was one thing. The goals that he scored just off the right wing, bumped the puck up off the boards, let him skate into it, and bang. There, over the course of the season, there might have been what, two or three deflections or tip ins. The rest were that wicked,
Just beat
wicked
you.
shot.
Just beat you
Oh yeah,
naturally.
yep, just the purest, as you said, pure goal scorer.
He retired, and I laugh about it because it was just amazing to me. He said, I have to retire because my stats fell off. He scored 35 goals in 50 games.
Yeah, and his back was killing him. His back was
Yeah.
just.
That's a shame. What a
It
shame.
is.
And life took
Yeah.
him way too early because he was just a pure class gentleman of a person.
Yes,
Mr.
totally.
LaFleur also, I had the honor of meeting Guy on a few occasions when he came to the Rangers, and he was the same way. Just a pure human being, you know. It's a shame.
Yep,
So
agreed.
you get to call a Stanley Cup final. You win 3 cups under your ring. Did you receive rings as an announcer?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those still in your possession?
Yeah, I think they're cubic zirconias, but yes, they're they're here on the shelf. Yeah.
What a difference in rings between the 80s and now, right?
Oh, oh man. Yeah. That today. Well, when when Chicago, I guess, yeah, it was the Blackhawks ring. Um, I got to put on. I felt I needed a sling just to keep my arm up. But it
I had a
was
Super Bowl ring on one day, and it literally was pulling my finger down like this when I put it on.
it's obscene, obscene.
That's crazy. All right, so here's a couple quick questions. I'm going to rapid fire at you.
Okay,
You're going to give me your choice as the Islander, and then give me a choice for the league. Best goaltender you ever watched?
Billy Smith,
Billy Smith, your Islander answer. Non-Islander, who's the guy you would go to for one win in a game?
Dominic Hasek,
Hasek. Oh, great answer. Very good answer. Um, best defenseman you ever watched play other than Dennis Potvin?
Bobby Orr.
Is Bobby the greatest ever player? Never mind defenseman.
Yes, yeah, he revolutionized the game. Totally revolutionized the sport. I saw Bobby Orr play. I'm not going to take up your time. I saw Bobby Orr
No,
play
tell
as
a
a
story,
12
please.
as a 12-year-old. Came into our community. I happened to be the district convener for the Georgian Bay Minor Hockey Association or League at that time. You could move up. You could move from Bantam to midget, but you couldn't move from Bantam to juvenile. You could move up one category. They came in without enough players to play the juvenile game one night. I had my arm twisted. Let the kid play. I won't play him that much. This is the coach, of course. Well, he didn't get off the ice in the Bantam game. I think he got one rest in the midget game. maybe off the ice twice in the juvenile game. I just marveled at this young man's ability. Yeah, so having seen him as a 12-year-old throughout his NHL career, revolutionized the sport. Bobby number one, Doug Harvey number two.
Wow. Okay. Great. That's great to hear that. I'll let you in a really quick story. From seventh grade to 11th grade, I did the same book report, and it was on Bobby Orr. I read every book I could ever read on Bobby Orr. I was fascinated with him. I have a Bobby Orr pinball machine, unfortunately, wearing the Chicago Blackhawk jersey, but
Yeah.
it was crazy. But that's amazing. Islanders, obviously, you're going to say Bossy, which is the correct answer. But who are two wingers you would put up if Jigs was starting a franchise fantasy team right now? Anyone ever? Who's your starting line? Who's your left, right, and your center?
Oh boy. Well, I would have Wayne, probably Mark Messier, and Gillies.
And Gillies, Clark Gillies.
Yeah.
I mean, the room he would open up for those two would be dangerous.
Oh. Yeah, Big Jethro, and again, we talk about losing Mike too early. Clark falls into the same category, but when he got that fire in his eye, don't
Yeah.
cross the big
Just
guy.
ask Eddie Hospodar.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
Oof.
There you go.
Who are some of the guys that you watched that were tough? I mean, obviously Gillies is up there top of all time, but who are some of the guys that you were like, wow, that guy could really throw him?
Well, Gary Hallett comes to mind immediately for an average-sized human being on skates. How he could really dust them. Bobby Nye, of course. Willie Plett, that we mentioned earlier, comes to mind. Mick Vukota, Mick the Quick. Mick could go. Um, I guess probably those would be, well, Ty Domi. You think of and I'm
How much fun was that when he got injected into that rivalry in preseason with Baumgartner and Vukota, and he's
Oh
cutting his hair and putting the thing on the towel, making fun
yeah.
of him. I mean, that was some funny stuff back in the
Yeah,
day, honestly.
and you need that. You have to have that. That was all in good fun. But Ty was a tough
Ty was a
guy.
tough guy, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. And
yeah.
you couldn't hurt that head.
I,
You know what I
here's-
remember, Jigs, and I loved? I used to be able to get into the Garden. They would let me in, and the Nassau Coliseum, I would always somehow BS my way in, were the rookie games.
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was pure. That was warfare. I went to a rookie game. The Rangers had Eric Bolton, PJ Stock, and a bunch of guys, and the Islanders had a bunch of guys. 5 or 7 minutes into the first period, they cleared the ice and they stopped the game. And then they had a coaches meeting with the referees at center ice. The GMs came down. There was like 6 people in the crowd. And they had a talk, and they said, look, you don't even have enough players to play this game, and we're 7 minutes in. Everybody's thrown out. And they talked them into restarting, and it lasted 1 period, and they stopped it again. It was too. The people will never understand the violence that took place in these games of these kids trying to make themselves get noticed for the bigger games.
Yeah. There was a. I remember them well. The afternoons at the Coliseum before the Islander Ranger game at night. The kids during training camp come in. Oh boy. Oh,
Yeah.
could they? Yeah, there was some dust ups, some beauties.
You know, people will never realize that Slapshot was based off an original script. You know, it was crazy. Your favorite
Yeah.
hockey movie?
Probably Miracle.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, there's Miracle would be number one. Um, what was the Alaska thing too? That
Was it? Oh God, I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, I know who you're talking about.
it was pretty good, but Miracle. The portrayal of Herbie, having traveled with and working with Herb Brooks as often as much as I did, the portrayal of Herbie was perfect, perfect.
Mystery Alaska.
Mystery Alaska. There you go. Yep.
One word and one quick sentence. Don Cherry. What comes to mind?
What a man. Honest and so good for the game. Love him. Love Don Cherry. Just
One one man I never got to meet that I would cut my right arm off to meet. The Rock'em Sock'em tapes, I would buy them every month out of the Hockey News, and watching Grapes when I got cable, and just God, Don, if you can ever hear this, please look me up. Let me get 5 minutes of your time.
One night, I think it was Series Islanders Washington, hockey night in Canada is in playoffs, and Don said, "Jigs, I need that tie." What? I need it. He said, "Here, wear mine. I need that one. I need the tie." And John Shannon, who was our producer at the time for Sports Channel America, would say, "Jigger, Jigger, those ties, everybody's looking at the ties. They don't pay any attention to what you're saying." And I said, "Well, John, it takes the focus right off my double chin. That's why." But yeah, Grapes took my tie. Edmonton Islanders, Oilers, Stanley Cup playoffs, lobby of the hotel one Sunday. Don says to me, "Jigs, let's go for a walk." Yeah, sure. He said, "Come on, I know back way out of the hotel here. We can just walk around the block and get some fresh air." We went out the back of the hotel, where the dumpsters were, up onto the street. We hadn't gone 20 feet, and here they come. Here come the autograph seekers, and he was mobbed, just totally mobbed. We never got around the block. We were back down that alleyway and into the hotel again. And all apologies, but just a great human being.
I was a full-fledged man in my 50s when he was let go, and I was angry for a year. It ruined hockey for me. Not being able to watch him on Saturday nights was devastating. The greatest part about WOR, and you'll remember this, when the Rangers or Islanders played on a Saturday night against one of the teams from Canada, they let you watch Hockey Night in Canada, the intermission with Don Cherry.
Oh, okay. I
So
didn't
the
know that.
Rangers or Islanders would cut that into their broadcast. So I learned about Don Cherry as a 7, 8 year old kid, So it's 40 something years I got to watch that man, and it was devastating. But real quick, couple quick ones. Favorite ring to announce in, like your favorite broadcast booth?
Uh, Probably the Forum in Montreal. You were high, but you were over the ice, and it was your fault if you missed anything because it was all there in front of you. Yeah.
Memories of the Spectrum.
Memories of the Spectrum. Parking lot, getting into the building, low broadcast location. Um, the Spectrum, the Spectrum was unique. The crowd, the Philadelphia crowd, they love the Flyers when they're winning and hate them when they're booing them when they were losing. City of brotherly shove, as we used to say. Yeah.
That's funny. Best pregame meal in an arena. Who put out the best spread?
Carolina
Really?
Hurricanes. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Whether it was the barbecue or the dessert trays, Carolina had, in my era anyway, had the best press room meal.
Who had the skimpiest?
Coliseum.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Yeah.
times people told me it was the old Toronto Gardens that he was so cheap that
Okay.
he skimped on food.
Yeah. There were homemade sandwiches, little finger sandwiches like you would serve for the ladies' tea. Yeah. Back in the 60s. Um, Nowadays, Toronto is pretty good, but
Right.
it still doesn't rank with Carolina.
And you said the Coliseum was bad, like
Yeah.
Skippy.
Yeah, I didn't eat before the meals or before games, but playoffs they playoffs they always put out a very nice spread. But regular season, you might get a cold hot dog, or you might get something warmed over. That it wasn't very
It
good.
wasn't pleasant.
No.
Do you have any experiences with funny stories with like visiting teams having their hot water shut off or anything like that? Calls to the hotel, fire alarms pulled in the playoffs or anything like that happen while you were announcing?
Yeah, we changed hotels in Edmonton because of calls getting through to the rooms in the middle of the night, and then the hotel that they went to was kind of on a boulevard, so the cars could go down one way, honking the horns all time, all the hours of the night, and around and through the parking lot. Um, Edmonton again, the home team provided the coffee for the visiting team, and it took a couple of years to finally prove, and the trainers did acknowledge that it was decaf coffee that went down the hall to the Islanders room, uh, not your full blown regular coffee. So no caffeine for the
Caffeine
visitors.
junkie, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Two last questions. I'll let you go because I don't want to take up all night. I could talk to you all night. Do you watch modern hockey right now, and do you see physicality creeping back into the game little by little, like
Yeah,
other people are starting to notice that
yeah,
the game's getting much more physical again?
yeah. I do. Yeah, I watch probably more hockey than I should be at this age and late night games. But yeah, and I do see the physicality. There are a couple of times that I have cringed in the past season, just saying, "Oh, that's a head-hunting move. That shouldn't be." But yeah, there's some nastiness coming back into the sport.
You see Montreal, Ottawa preseason? That's throwback preseason.
No, I didn't. I was watching baseball. I have to admit,
Okay.
watching it.
My Mets choke, so I'm not watching
Uh,
baseball.
my Blue Jays. Are they going to get the? Are they going to get the Yankees or the Red Sox? So, yeah,
I think
my
the Red Sox. I'm going to go on the line and say the Red Sox, and I'm going to say Toronto beats Boston.
if they can get into the bullpen, if they can get by the starting pitching that Boston can throw at them, um, Jays are pretty good, and it
Yeah,
all
I agree with you.
starts with their catcher. Kirk has been. We're really off track here, aren't we, Rick?
No, hey,
But
hey, listen, I'm a baseball guy. I signed with the St. Louis Cardinals when I was a kid. I was 100% baseball guy. Ice hockey didn't exist in my area in Jersey. We played street and you played baseball. That was it.
gotcha, gotcha.
So, yeah. So give me that prediction. Who do you think, Yankees or Boston?
I kind of hope it's the Yankees, only because I think they can get by their starting pitching and get to the bullpen. And the Yankees fielding, they've had a lot of problems, as you know, a lot of errors, and
I think the
maybe,
Yankees are poorly managed too, but I'm just going to say that very casually.
I'm not going to disagree.
Okay.
Okay,
Last question, Jigs, and everybody gets this question, and you have to give me a 100% honest answer. You cannot duck this question. So I got your blood pressure up yet? Does pineapple belong on a pizza?
yes,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, Canadians love it. Canadians, that Hawaiian pizza, as they call it. Yeah, and I have you had it?
I will. I refuse to. As a full-blooded Italian from Jersey, I would get a beating.
Uh, Someday you have to try it.
Maybe
It
if I come
is.
to Canada and we hang out, I'll try a slice with you. But I'm not. I'm not eating it, and I'll never admit it.
Good for you, Rick, but it is. It is.
You have absolutely made a dream come true for me tonight. I really appreciate taking your time and thanks for understanding. The other day I was sick. I mean, I was laid up, and
Gotcha.
you were able to reschedule for me, and it really means a lot to me. And I might touch base with you as we get closer to the playoffs and see if we can get you on for a playoff session, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Sure. Love to. Love
Okay.
to.
Well, I
I've
will get
enjoyed
this
it.
edited and send you a copy, and and you're free to reach out anytime you have an opinion you want to express too, Jigs.
You got it. You got it.
Well,
Thanks, Ricky.
thank you so much, Jigs. Ladies and gentlemen, Jigs McDonald, Hockey Hall of Fame announcer, the voice of the Dynasty New York Islanders. WTBS would go in for 5 minutes with Skip Carey doing this, and he's lasted. This man's a legend. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And we are done. Thank you, Jigs.
You're welcome, Ricky.
It meant
Anytime.
so much to me, man. Thank you very much, buddy. Have a great night.
You too. Be
Bye
well.
bye.